Hi, I'm Shannon Marshall, principal of Stadium High School, and I have the honor of opening the 2021 Martin Luther King Jr. Assembly. As we gather to honor this man whose leadership efforts battled for equality and human rights, please remember not only how far we've come, but how far we have yet to go. There are countless challenges that we're still facing today as a country and as a society. It is the responsibility of each and every one of us to make a brighter future. On this January 18th, please take time to reflect on the life and contributions of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and allow his legacy to inspire you and the work that's still to be done. I'd like to thank Stadium's Black Student Union and Tiger News for producing this video and continuing our tradition in honoring this civil rights hero. Please enjoy this virtual assembly.
Say his name! George Floyd! Say his name! George Floyd! Say his name! George Floyd! No justice! No peace! Don't shoot! Hands up! Don't shoot!
Look at me like a man! I matter! We matter!
Stadium Tigers, my name is Mr. Fryer, Assistant Principal here at Stadium. I want to thank our Black Student Union members for supporting initiatives that support equality and equity for all students. So how can we change our country and make it more equitable? It starts by having conversations on topics that are like the global pandemic and the events of our summer of racial injustice and tragedy. Just think for a moment. There will not be any need for programs like this or assemblies or opportunities to have conversations if we all would just treat each other with respect. If people just understood that some individuals started the race of life from behind, at the bottom, and had to deal with systemic factors throughout the history that forced or even enslaved people to stay behind or finish last.
Hi, I'm Brandy Jenderson. I use she, her pronouns, and I have the honor of serving as the Career Guidance Specialist, and I want students of color to hear one of their educators say it. Black lives matter. BIPOC lives matter. Black trans lives matter. You matter. I want you to know that you're safe with me. I see you. I may not have all the same experiences as you, but I will listen to you. I will advocate for you. And I'm actively working on being anti-racist. A group of your educators at Stadium has been getting together after school every week to work towards this same goal.
Hi Tigers, I'm Jana Fullerton and I'm the librarian at Stadium. Last year I read a lot of books by authors of color. One of my favorite authors is Jason Reynolds. Jason is a Black man. From him I learned how hard it is to be a Black person in our society, particularly a Black teen boy. Stories and books have helped me to understand what different people have experienced. I hope that everyone at Stadium will feel welcome to share their stories and will help me build a library that includes and welcomes our staff and students of color. I'd ask that if you see something that's racist or non-representative in me or in our library, that you come talk to me about it. I'll do the best I can to listen and change. I'd also invite you to come to the library when we're in the building again and to see if you can find the poster with the hoodie. I'd love to talk with you about it. Stay strong, Tigers, and ask for help when you need it.
I'm Mrs. Leong with the English department. For me, equality is less about making sure that everyone gets exactly the same thing and more about everybody getting what they individually need in order to be able to succeed, to overcome whatever obstacles and inequalities have made it difficult in the past. I would like our students of color, especially our Black community at Stadium, to know that we do see you and we are trying to make changes. We are trying to make changes in how we interact with students. We are trying to make changes in the curriculum to make sure that everyone is better represented and better seen. One of the best things that our country can do is provide proportional representation. This way, all groups will feel seen, will feel represented, and we can have that diverse viewpoint that is such a strength for us.
Love yourself enough, because that is the power that will bring us together and allow us to love one another.
Tamshi, Maya Lopez, Dishinakashan. Hello everyone, my name is Maya Lopez. I'm Turtle Mountain Ojibwe from Belcourt, North Dakota, and I am Zapotec from Oaxaca, Mexico. I'm also the co-founder of this upcoming club in January called Native and Indigenous Peoples Club, so we're so excited to be starting that. And yeah, I just first and foremost want to thank everyone for allowing me to speak with my platform, and I'm just very honored to be here with y'all today. So what equality looks like to me is that people get equal opportunity no matter their background or their experiences or who they are. And the message I'd like to send to all my BIPOC friends at Stadium is that keep educating others as much as you can. It's so valuable. And keep fighting and advocating for what you believe in. Because, yeah, it's just so important. And then also how I think the world could go on and make change is that you should listen to people always, no matter who you are. Listen to people's stories and their background. And then also educating people on what your values are or what your ancestry is, and everything like that. And then also making changes on individual level is really good, like taking accountability and ownership for things that you can control. So yeah, with that all being said, thank you so much for having me speak today, and have a good day.
Equality looks like people of all races, backgrounds, and creeds living in peace and harmony and working together to build a better society.
Equal opportunity to me in society is when someone applies for a job, the color of their skin doesn't play a role in them getting the job or not.
To me, equality means that a person of color will have the same privileges and opportunities that I have. I understand how privileged I am to be white, and that I'll never face the struggles that a person of color has to go through on a daily basis, though I try my hardest to understand, and I'm always here to support you and to listen. Our country needs to do a lot to become more equitable. They need to put in more minority protection programs, as the world is a much safer place for me than it is for any minority.
Equality to me is when every individual being has equal opportunity, meaning basic human rights, freedom of speech, equal access to certain social goods and social services, and just being treated no different from the next. But we cannot have master over equality until we acknowledge that we need equity first, meeting custom tools that identify and address inequality. The message I would like to send to other students of color at Stadium would be your feelings and experiences are all valid, and even when you feel unheard or gaslighted, continue to speak up. It can feel exhausting and stressful constantly fighting the battle of oppression and microaggressions, but we haven't made it this far for nothing. And Martin Luther King said that freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor, it must be demanded by the oppressed. Changes I think will make our country a more equitable environment would require people that want change to be accepting and have an open mind. It also means holding yourself, friends, and family accountable. Prejudice is an emotional commitment to ignorance, so we have to teach ourselves and teach the newer generation to be anti-racist, meaning if you're not a part of the solution, you're a part of the problem. And with equity, we realize our problems could be addressed by giving the extra leverage or help to minorities in order for them to reach equality.
Young folks with elders were in the room to shut up and listen. But now I tell elders, when I see young people organizing and marching and protesting, just shut up and walk.
Well, I think that is an answer to that myth, and it is that time is neutral. It can be used either constructively or destructively. And I'm absolutely convinced that the forces of ill will in our nation, the extreme righteous in our nation, have often used time much more effectively than the forces of goodwill. And it may well be that we will have to repent in this generation, not merely for the vitriolic words of the bad people and the violent actions of the bad people, but for the appalling silence and indifference of the good people who sit around and say, wait on time. Somewhere we must come to see that social progress never rolls in on the wheels of inevitability. It comes through the tireless efforts and the persistent work of dedicated individuals, and without this hard work, time itself becomes an ally of the primitive forces of social stagnation. And so we must help time, and we must realize that the time is always right to do right.
To these men that if you don't do something about it, we will have no alternative but to engage in broader and more drastic forms of civil disobedience in order to bring the attention of the nation to this whole issue in Selma, Alabama.
The Southern oligarchy, which has until today so much power in Washington, and therefore some power in the world, was created by my labor and my sweat, and the violation of my women and the murder of my children. This, in the land of the free and the home of the brave. And no one can challenge that statement. It is a matter of historical record. In another way, this dream, and we'll get to the dream in a moment, is at the expense of the American Negro.